Imagine being locked inside a massive, fully stocked grocery store. You have aisles of unlimited food, fresh water, comfortable temperatures, and no external predators. On paper, it sounds like a survivalist's dream. But when you actually put human beings in this scenario, the dream collapses. In long-term behavioral experiments, like the endurance challenges orchestrated by YouTuber Jimmy Donaldson, known as Mr. Beast, participants surrounded by endless resources rapidly lose their social cohesion. To understand why, we have to look at the brain's primary logic center, the prefrontal cortex. This is the region responsible for complex planning, cooperation, and the rational behavior that makes a functioning society possible. But the prefrontal cortex relies on external purpose and social connection to maintain its stability. When you remove daily routines, sunlight, and contact with the outside world, this logic center begins to fracture, even if you have enough calories to last a lifetime. Biology is programmed to solve problems. When a modern, enclosed environment removes all real external danger, the human body begins to manufacture its own internal threats. The breakdown starts with sensory recalibration. Without environmental anchors like a sunrise to reset the circadian rhythm or a schedule to divide the day, the mind drifts into a state of high alert. Physical isolation forces the brain to treat silence itself as a variable to be scrutinized. Every empty aisle and quiet corner becomes a potential hiding spot that needs to be monitored. This chart maps a typical panic response under these conditions. Notice how the heart rate violently spikes with a heavy, rhythmic weight, despite the conscious awareness of danger remaining flat. The body reacts to environmental shifts before the eyes even see a threat. Deprived of normal stimuli, the brain turns the volume up on every other sense. A shifting shadow quickly escalates into a physical trauma response. As psychological isolation drags into weeks, minor social friction decouples from rational processing. A harmless prank, like popping a sleeping bag floaty or hiding a basketball, triggers intense paranoia. Participants immediately begin forming primitive alliances. They hoard necessities, steal cooking equipment, and build cereal box barricades to regain a basic sense of spatial security. They enter a state of survival math. Every interaction is calculated for risk, and people who were friendly shoppers a week ago are treated as existential enemies to be actively sabotaged. The scale of this manufactured tension leads directly to cognitive overload. The analytical parts of the brain are overwhelmed by managing constant, artificial hostility. As the overload peaks, the prefrontal cortex dims. The higher-order logic fractures, allowing erratic electrical impulses from deeper, older regions of the brain to dictate behavior. The sight of factions forming in the produce aisle reflects the prefrontal cortex losing its battle to override deep-seated biological defense mechanisms. This neural regression eventually hits a threshold known as the amygdala hijack. The brain's evolutionary alarm system seizes complete control. The amygdala detects de-escalating social tension and sounds the alarm, effectively severing access to the logic centers. It prioritizes immediate physical survival above all else. It issues direct chemical orders, flooding the bloodstream with energy and preparing the muscular system for combat or escape. At this stage, an arbitrary restriction, like drawing a red line to cut the store in half, triggers a primal fight for territory. Modern behavioral conditioning breaks down. What remains is a biological machine, programmed by thousands of years of evolution to do one thing: survive the threat in front of it. Even after the experiment concludes and participants return to the outside world, the exhaustion and paranoia developed inside the store linger. The defensive postures don't vanish the moment the doors open. It suggests that a surplus of money and calories cannot override our biological requirement for routine, sunlight, and meaningful human connection. We tend to view our social norms as permanent traits, but these results show how quickly they can dissolve when the environmental anchors supporting them are removed. The evidence indicates that, regardless of how safe a modern structure is, total isolation will always awaken the primal animal inside.